My name is Dominique Kennedy, and I tell stories about conversations. Welcome to Word Equity Conversation Series. So, this story is about a conversation I was having with our oldest daughter who's in middle school. She had to complete a project where she had to interview someone, but also offer her perspective, her insight, her viewpoint on this individual that she was going to interview. When she mentioned the project, I suggested, oh, do you want to call your grandparents? Do you want to interview them? And she was like, no, I'd like to interview you because I have to share information on a person's mannerisms and behaviors and observe them in real time. So I would like to use you. So I felt flattered. I was really excited to be able to share in this project and experience with her. The other thought I had was that this, like, how personal is this going to get? Like, this is for school, this is a project you're doing. You started mentioning behaviors, mannerisms, giving critiques, perspective, sharing your vantage point. What other information needs to be shared here? So I was very curious as to what other questions would be asked. So she mentioned that she had to share, again, mannerisms, perspectives, behaviors, observing different things about this individual. She also said that she had to share that individual's positive attributes as well as their negative attributes. So when she mentioned that, I was like, okay, so this will be a great opportunity to understand where her thoughts are about me and where we stand in this particular juncture of our relationship. Okay, so she began to share different things about, things that she observes me doing. She shared information about my mannerisms and qualities there. She shared information about me being smiley, and she shared information about the fact that I'm empathetic and kind, which I really appreciated. She also started to share information about my attributes, such as my giving nature and different things that I do with other people. When she got to the part that I was most interested in, which was the negative qualities, this is what she shared. So she said that when I get upset, I clean and I hum. So I wasn't aware of the humming part, but I definitely can vouch for the fact that I do clean and just do something productive, do something that's like actionable when I'm processing through. I also like to sit and have a cup of tea. So I'll either clean or I'll have tea. That's what I do when I'm upset. She also mentioned that one of my other negative attributes is that I turn things into teachable moments, which, okay, I can accept that. So when she shared it, it was very interesting because A, she's in middle school, she's sharing her vantage point or sharing her perspective on her view of me as her mother. But it was also very intriguing that the things that she mentioned that were negative were actually things that I can handle. I tend to be, or actually am, a very self-reflective person, which lends itself to the fact that I'm very self-aware. So when she mentioned these things, I was not surprised, except for the humming part, but I wasn't surprised. I also was delighted about the fact that if those are the two worst qualities that you can come up with in your decade, a little over a decade of time here on this earth, I can actually handle that. I appreciate hearing that. So it was a really good conversation because she was also able to share information about our interactions and how we spend time together. And she said, she enjoys that we get to have our, coffee chats. She's not drinking coffee, neither am I, but we call it a coffee chat. We have our opportunities where we go out and spend time together. I have different activities that I support because she's interested in different things, and I want her to know that I'm supportive of the things that she's interested in. And she just mentioned our family time and some of the things that she observes of me in different settings. And I was really happy to hear that. So it was a great conversation to have with her. It was a really good opportunity to determine what her thoughts are of me and what I'm actually presenting. So it's easy to consider yourself to be this person who has all these amazing qualities that they share with everyone they encounter. But it's also important to understand that how you show up in conversation, how you show up in your professional experiences with or interactions with folks, and how you show up in your personal experiences may be very different than how you process that in your head versus what someone's view of you in those situations may be. So I would encourage you all, if you haven't done it already, ask your kids to give their perspective and vantage point on how you show up in conversation. Would your answers match? So if you were to talk about how you show up professionally and you're describing yourself to other people, like as if you're on an interview and you're telling people, someone's saying, well, tell me something about yourself. Would what you say about yourself align with what your child might say about you, or what your spouse may say about you, or would it align with your closest friend or coworker? So I would encourage you to get those questions answered and determine if they align. And the most important thing I will say in this conversation is to ask yourself, what am I going to do with that information? So this was said about me, that was said about me. This is someone's perspective. This is their vantage point as far as how we interact and how I show up in conversation. But what am I going to do with that information? Am I going to use it to empower me to respond differently? Am I going to be reactive and combative when I hear this information? Am I going to use it to be reflective and do something actionable? So again, the most important question to ask yourself is, what am I going to do with this information? Okay.